So, a few days ago was my 22nd birthday, and I don't know if anyone else can relate, but I've never been quite the one to celebrate it. You see, I feel like for my entire life I've always been a thinker. If I'm not thinking, then I'm sleeping. If I'm not sleeping, then I'm thinking. And if I'm thinking, I'm usually writing. I've come to notice in the past few years that I really, really like writing. Like, a lot. I guess it just came naturally to me to use this year as more of a reflection than anything else. Like some questions that I ask myself are, in the past year, what has happened? Has anything happened? Have I gotten anywhere closer to where I need to be? All of this enters a Google Doc on the day of my birthday when I sit down and spill everything that I'm feeling. It's almost like New Year's to me, except a personalized version for myself. It's really crazy to think that just a year ago, my life was completely different. I remember vividly being in one of many 2 hour long marketing lectures, dozing off, daydreaming about this life that seemed so distant, like it was some sort of fantasy. You see, at this point, I was about 3 years deep into my business degree. I maintained a 3.8 GPA. I landed on the dean's list almost every single quarter of my college career. Evidently, I was pretty academically driven, but I found that I was intrinsically incompetent. I've always been under this assumption that there are limited avenues towards success. I was told at a young age to complete high school, attend a good college, earn my degree, and enter the workforce by the age of 25. But as I was mindlessly committing to this business degree that I found had zero value to my life at the time, I was fantasizing about storytelling, filmmaking, and writing. But all of it came with so much uncertainty, doubt, and fear that naturally I just kind of pushed it away. I mean, at the time, I already had this bulletproof plan. I had advisors assisting me in planning for my graduation. I had career fairs telling me which path to take when it comes to my degree. I had everything laid out in front of me. All I had to do was execute. But I decided to take a very sharp turn that following summer when I left school with a very vague idea of what I wanted to do with my life. And at the time, I had no idea when I would return. I called it a indefinite break. It was super scary and I had a lot of doubtful thoughts, but I also couldn't help but feel excited at the thought that this is the first step in living a life, taking a path that is living for myself. Now, I can't say that things were perfect from the start. I wish I could say that I left school and immediately went into what I wanted to do. I wish that I could tell you that things were everything that I thought it would be. I wish that I could tell you that all my problems were solved when I left school, but that just isn't the reality. I would even go as far as saying that the months following my departure from school saw some of the darkest and loneliest moments of my entire life. I didn't know what shame truly felt like until I looked in the mirror and finally admitted to myself that I had left school. My face was filled with judgments, confusion, and disappointment. Like, why would you give up something so certain for something that isn't? And most importantly, the question that I couldn't shake off was, why would you give up something that provided you so much security? Well, I think the answer boils down to one thing, and one thing only. I didn't want security. I knew very early on into my education that earning my degree, entering the workforce, and climbing the corporate world, they were all just achievements, accolades that would provide me some sort of external praise. And I think that's the security that I crave so much, the one produced by the external eye. I was living under the scope of society. I didn't care about reading cash flow statements or balance sheets. I cared about the status, the prestige that I would receive whenever I reached a certain milestone in my career, whether it be a promotion or a pay raise. I wanted others to look at me and think, wow, he is on the right path. He knows what he's doing. But at the time, the right path to me was this blueprint that I've been following all along, that I found had zero value to my life. And it never quite occurred to me that I was able to steer this vehicle that is my life. So I guess it goes without saying that I fixated on the opinions of others a lot of the time for my sense of security. I allowed them to determine my character, how I live, how I think, and essentially it made me a prisoner to their idea of who I am. And I'm not talking about a specific person, although there are specific people in my life that are very clear on what they expect out of me. I guess I'm talking more about society and this entire framework of success and what your career should look like and what success should look like and what you should do with your life. And I feel like a lot of us, at least for me, I conform to this version of myself for the sake of validation and acceptance. I depend on the opinions of others, this surveillance from society to keep me secure. But security at the end of the day shouldn't matter if you're imprisoned to their idea of who you are. Security shouldn't matter if you've traded your entire life for it. Because at that point, what is there left to secure? If you're living under the surveillance of society, how will you ever escape this prison? I personally believe that a huge chunk of our lives are based on our perceptions. If we think positively, positive outcomes will come, and vice versa with negative thoughts. If we want something to happen, it will come to life one way, shape, or form. At the start of my chapter, I envisioned a life where I was able to tell stories. I wanted to be able to spread newfound knowledge. I wanted to be able to express myself in ways that I was never able to express myself before. I wanted to be content with who I am. However, society has always told me that this is wrong. Society told me that it was delusional to have a job that you love. They told me it's selfish to want to be happy. They told me that you have to struggle, you have to do this, you have to do X, Y, and Z in order to reach what they call success and happiness. But why is that? It's sad to say, but I think that this train of thought really deterred me from actually taking any action at the time. It explains why it took such a considerable amount of time before I actually picked up a pen and began writing. Let's not even get started with picking up a camera and hitting the record button, and finally opening the editing software and composing a story that I was proud of. The world has always told me that if your dream isn't conventional, and if it's something that nobody has done before, don't go for it at all. Just follow the simple path, the proven to be effective plan. Just get there. Just struggle like everybody else. Just do what everyone else is doing. It doesn't matter because being happy, having a career that you love, and being content with who you are is unrealistic. But why is that? I still find myself asking that question every single day, and I feel like it's replaced the previous framework that I had while I was in school. Eventually, I grew this obsession with trying to break away from this train of thought. I wanted to know why I was doing what I was doing. I wanted to question everything. I wanted to make sure that I was certain that this was the right course of action for me. It didn't matter what anyone else thought. I obsessed over trying to do things for myself. And I don't want to sound like I found the key to life and that I have unlocked everything in life, because I haven't. But I will say that in the past 9 months of me not being in school, not waking up in the middle of the night worried about if I had meaningless assignments due, I'm not worried about trying to find a job that I know that I will not enjoy. All the anxiety that I've packed up in the past few years when it comes to school is slowly diminishing, and I'm starting to come out. My thoughts are starting to cater to me. This lifestyle that I want is slowly becoming a reality. I haven't felt this much satisfaction in my entire life, and it's only been 9 months. This obsession of trying to break away from this train of thought has pushed me in this direction that I can finally be proud of. It's the idea of living for myself, the idea of living a life that caters to me, the whole journey of exploring different avenues of success that has never been explored before. It's the whole concept of trying to evaluate life through your own lens, instead of the lens of society. And please, excuse me if I sound arrogant or privileged, but this is how I feel right now. Money has never been a priority to me. And that might sound crazy to some of you, but that's just how I feel. I've always wanted happiness. I've always wanted to be content. I wanted a lifestyle, a career that freed me from this mental prison. Because I truly believe that working towards something that you want, working towards something that you can do every single day and be happy, there are going to be struggles. There are going to be moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. But if you're willing to get up every single day and do it, I believe that doing that can never be substituted for any amount of money. Because, well, if you're happy with your life, and if you're providing something to yourself, if you're working towards goals that are far more important than any superficial goal that you've chased in the past, if you're doing that, then you'll be rich in so many other categories. And I believe after that, money will follow. It's a long journey of twists and turns. Some days I feel like I'm on a straight path. Other days, I feel like I'm taking a U-turn, trying to desperately get back to where I was when I was in school. However, in the past few months, through trial and tribulation, experimenting with so many different things, having a lot of fear and doubt hold me back, and just overall taking a leap of faith, I believe that I've carved a path for myself that I can cherish for a lifetime. A life that seemed like a fantasy just 1 year ago is finally beginning to piece together. Now, I would like to add a disclaimer. I'm not condoning or even advising that you drop out of school and follow in the same footsteps that I have. I'm not telling you to take the exact steps that I'm taking in order to escape your mental prison. I am simply asking that you think critically about yourself. Think about your life. Think about the outcomes. Think about what you want out of your life. Question everything. Repeatedly question everything about yourself. Ask yourself, who are you? Who am I? What do I want out of my life? If the surveillance of society ceased to exist, what would I do with my life in order to succeed? How will I reach a point of enlightenment so that I can be content with who I am? Embark on this new journey of discovering who you are. Not the version of you that others expect you to be. Not the version of you that is entrapped in this prison, but the version of you that's working every day to be free. And quickly, I would like to add that I might be completely wrong. There's a chance that I might be talking the most nonsense. And maybe I'll be back in school the next year. Maybe I'll earn my degree. And maybe I'll just get a 9 to 5 job and live a life that could have been so much more. Or maybe I'll be exactly where I'm at right now, falling into the trap of inaction and never moving forward. Or maybe, and just maybe, I'll be here with a much clearer mentality. Maybe I'll garner a community of viewers, people, like minded people that agree with what I have to say, or better yet, can build on what I have to say. I believe that we can learn something from everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you come from. We can all learn something from each other. Because maybe if I keep going, then maybe I'll have a life that caters to me. Maybe I'll have a space, a career, a lifestyle that motivates myself and other people to continue to pursue their dreams. Maybe I'll finally have that lifestyle that caters to me and frees me from this mental prison. But who knows? I guess we'll have to figure out when I turn 23. Will I finally be free from this mental prison?